Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. We're gonna start off with, oh, the thing about this episode is that there really wasn't a lot that was going on. Like, there was a lot of characters, but there wasn't really a lot of stuff going on. And I think that's because, like, they're really kind of setting things up for, like, Thursday and Friday. So Holly and Ari get kidnapped, right? The guy's pretty much like, hey, listen, if this person doesn't come through with the money, it's gonna be the end, or maybe not, because you still do actually have some rich folks or whatever. So you just better hope that something comes through the pipeline, because if it doesn't, that's your ass, right? And so Holly and Ari are pretty much kind of realizing that there is one person that they have in common that pretty much kind of put them in that predicament, right? And so, they talk about Doug and everything like that, and there's a point where where Ari kind of feels foolish. Like, she's mad, she feels kind of foolish, and there's a point where she feels like she lashes out at Holly. See, when you watch it, and when you watch today's episode and you've been watching it for a while, you know the complicated history of Doug and Holly. Of will they, won't they? Holly only snipped there really kind of entertaining Doug in a sense because Kate knocked out Sophia. So throughout that series of her explaining the story to Ari's like, so essentially what this comes down to is that I'm a consolation prize. And as I'm watching it this morning, I'm sitting there thinking, the thing is, when you start to get into adulthood, and this is maybe a little kind of cynical, but everyone is somebody's consolation prize at some point. You sit there and you talk about meeting the one, right? Because of the right circumstances. But what is the right circumstance? This person was supposed to go with that person, but that person wanted to break in that person's heart, and after a long time of heartbreak or whatever, they decide to get themselves out there, and they meet you, right? And you met the love of your life. But you met the love of your life because that person was supposed to be with somebody else, and it didn't happen. So technically, you're still a consolation prize. It may not have been so immediate, but it is what it is. And part of me, granted, she apologizes. Harley's like, no, it's fine. I get it. You're just trying to take your mind off of this circumstance and situation. And I guess on one hand, that's fine. But on the other hand, it's like, you having this little pity party about you being a consolation prize, it probably should be the least thing on your mind. Now, Holly did sit there and say that she purposely dropped her bracelet that does have her initials on it. So hopefully, people are going to start to worry and everything like that. And Tate's going to realize that we're not there. And hopefully, we can get somebody on a search. So you have that going on, right? This whole scene with EJ and Belle is so out of pocket, right? Because they're in bed, they just finished, doing the devil's tango and everything, and they're talking about Johnny. Now, I'm like, first of all, you got the prosecutor that's going to be going up against the defendant in the same goddamn bed. Right? Let's just sit there and take away Johnny for a minute. The fact that you have this whole setup is like, this is all. Also, Belle keeps sitting there talking about, I really didn't like the fact that, the judge actually put me back on there. I wish you would have kept me accused of it. I was like, you're sitting there telling me that there's no way that you can get out of this situation of prosecuting your own nephew? Because you keep complaining about it, but I'm like, if you really wanted to, you could actually get out of this situation. You really could. Lawyers out there, let me know, but I have to imagine that there's no good judge that's going to sit there and say, or you can't find another judge or somebody to get you out the situation of prosecuting your own nephew. On top of the fact that, again, girl, you are literally in the bed with the opposing counsel. Like, what are we doing at this point? Not to mention, just in general, just, EJ. And that's another thing. She talks about her reputation and stuff like that. I was like, girl, if you was really worried about your reputation, you wouldn't be in this bed. You wouldn't be in this bed for so many different reasons. Not just because of your career, which is the more obvious one, but like, being with EJ, and his reputation and all the bad stuff that he's done, and the fact that you are the goddamn DA. I feel like there's so many things that I could just sit there and point out just on how out of pocket this whole thing is. And long story short, everything is going all good and gravy into Belle accuses EJ when he's like, hey, listen, you need to sit there and just, maybe you could just drop the charges or whatever. And she's all like, oh, see, I knew what this was. You were sent to seduce me. So this way you could sit there and get me to change my mind. And you were dumb enough to sit there and get in his bed. And you're the goddamn DA. And you're the prosecutor right now. So, in all reality, is this EJ's fault that you're in this compromising position? Or is this your damn fault? Oh, I gotta sit there and get to work. Oh, I guess you can make whoopee again. Oh, I gotta sit there and get to work. Oh, you can sit there and make me eggs. What the f*** is wrong with you? Like, seriously, what is wrong with you? I don't understand that. Doug, after trying to talk to the loan shark, getting up in the loan shark's face, trying to act like a tough guy, realizing that it didn't work, he's like, okay, cool, I gotta get this necklace. So he goes to the Salem Hotel, and he's about to go in her room. He's about to go in Gwen's room. He talks to Gwen for a little bit. Gwen goes in the room. She leaves, and at this point, Doug sees her walking around with the necklace. So he's like, oh, I can't get that damn necklace. What am I going to do now? I guess I'll just go back to work and sit there and drink, or maybe think about taking some petty cash. Here's another option, Doug. Maybe you can man up and talk to Gabby. Talk to Ari's grandmother. Do that. He's so afraid of getting in trouble that you are putting these two girls' lives in danger because of this. I'm like, Doug, this is why I sit there and say you are a fucking loser, because what do you work? You work, they're going to sit there and yell at you. They're going to, Julie's going to sit there and be more mad and disappointed. Julie is more, when Julie finds out, she's going to be more disappointed that you didn't go to her. Yeah, she's going to be mad about the situation, but you should be more upset that you didn't even man up. You didn't even have the balls to sit there and be like, hey, listen, I messed up. I need help. Runs into Tate, and of course he lies his ass off. Gwen and Kristen doesn't really, they just catch up. And then Gwen is like, hey, I'm going to be living here. Since, Dimitri is still my husband, and I guess Dimitri just realized, like, it's going to cost more money, more time, more effort to get rid of Gwen than to just keep her. And since she is a Loishner, well, since she's also a Demera, apparently she feels that she can live in a house. And I'm like, no. See, Megan lived in a house, and Megan was one of Stefano's children, just like Kristen lives in a house, because Kristen is one of Stefano's children. Even though they're not blood related, that still was his daughter in every way. That's just how it is. Gwen, you're not a descendant, you're not blood, you're not part of Stefano's children. So, why do you feel like you could just live there? Like, seriously, why do you feel you could just live there? Because you're what? You're tired of slumming it at the Salem Inn? Cool, but, like, no. I guess AJ's probably not going to put up that much of a fight, so whatever. Oh, and the scenes with Johnny and Chanel, they don't really go anywhere. Except for Chanel put up the bakery as collateral. And she sat there and said, well, I could have asked Mama for money, but I wanted to sit there and have a... This was a symbol, a token of me really supporting you. I was like, girl, if you would have got money from the mayor to sit there and bail out Johnny, it would have looked bad. I mean, I know she doesn't really like to think ahead like that, but like it would have looked bad. You're better off just letting EJ do it, if we're gonna be honest. But yeah, their scenes doesn't really go anywhere. It's just, yeah, their scenes doesn't go anywhere. Before Tate did get there, before Tate got to Brady, Brady was not there talking about the possibility that Rachel may not have to testify against Johnny because now Chanel is a suspect. And Kristen was like, okay, well, she does say something along the lines of like, well, if she did it and just left Johnny hanging in the bag, then whatever happens to her, happens to her. That's pretty foul. I don't understand how Johnny was so calm about it, so cavalier. Like, there's a point where Chanel's like, well, he's like, I believe that you didn't do it. And it's like, well, even if you did do it, you wouldn't sit there and just leave me out there to dry. And I was like, yeah, that's true, but that just means that your wife shot your dad. Would you really be okay with that? Part of me feels like his dumbass would be, but like, yeah. Now, I didn't actually think I was able to pull this together, for the most part. One second. I don't know. I feel like that's about it for the most part. There might have been some stuff here or there that I missed, but that is the general gist of the video. Now, if I miss anything, write it in the comment section below. Most likely, I'm not gonna probably do a live stream tonight. Just have it be a rest night. Also, if you're not a member, make sure you join. Not just, during the member streams, during the member streams, I started doing a lot of these throwback reaction videos. And, I also do it towards days. Classic days stuff we've been reacting to. And it's been pretty interesting because, like, there was a lot of stuff, like a lot of Victor scenes that I didn't see that I just found hilarious. So, yeah, if you're not a member, make sure you join and become part of the membership. I also do reaction videos, solo videos, towards different soaps like Passions and All My Children and stuff like that. So you're definitely going to want to be a part of that. So with that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video. And if I change my mind, I will write in the community tab. But as of right now, I'm probably just going to take a rest night.